So we have work, we have play, and then we have rest. Establish regular wake-up times for you and for your kids. It can be really disorienting if we're getting up at different times of the day. We're sort of having a slow start to our day. No one really kind of moves on with their day. Things like switching out of pajamas and into clothes, making a bed, those are little triggers that say, okay, it's time for a new section, a new part of the day, a new part of the routine and schedule. So those are really, really important. So have regular wake-up times and then have regular bedtime. I also encourage you to either do nap times, especially, of course, if you have little ones, and fortunately that routine is probably still in place. But if you have older kids, or even for yourself, consider just setting aside time in the day, probably towards the afternoon. That's quiet time. In fact, a lot of us, our body temperature takes a natural dip in the late afternoon towards early evening. There may be a good time or space in there around 3 or 4 to have 45 minutes to an hour or a half hour of quiet time where everyone just goes and settles in, reads a book, or even just lays and kind of allowed to be alone with our thoughts for a little bit. Then I encourage you to have a day or two in the week that's built in. Maybe it's a Saturday, and then a Sunday afternoon after you've tuned into the live stream, of course, where you're allowed to break the rules, where the routine kind of goes out the window, which is kind of how we treat our Saturdays or our days off anyway. So sleep in, let the kids have longer tech time, as long as they know that this is special, this is a unique day that's set aside. So kind of what Jesus said about the Sabbath, right? That the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Your routine, your schedule is made for you, not you for the routine. So tweak it, change it, have some grace, some patience with yourself and with your kids. There are a lot of resources out there for different examples of schedules and how you might structure your day, so I encourage you to go look at those. In fact, we even have one of those listed on the resource page at heritagechurchaz.com. But there's a lot out there. I just encourage you to create a routine and a schedule. You will be glad that you did. Your kids, whether they say it or not, will be glad that you did. We need structure and routine in this time where things have been shaken up. There's a little bit of uncertainty. So those main pillars of the day are work, play, and rest. You might wonder, well, what about worship? What about time set aside to take care of our spiritual needs? Absolutely set aside time for those. One of the reasons I didn't really make worship an isolated thing is because I believe that in all of these things we can be worshiping God. In our work, we're worshiping God. In our learning, we're worshiping God. Even in our rest, we are worshiping God. But certainly I would encourage you to build in maybe a time in the morning, maybe a time at night, and it doesn't need to be long. We're together as a family, you with your children, or maybe just you by yourself. You're focusing in on Jesus, on His love for you and your love for Him, taking some time to pray. And so I encourage you to do that as well, perhaps at the beginning of the day and at the end of your day. If you have any ideas or things that are working or not working, share those with everyone. We'd love to hear how this is going for you all. I love you guys. Thanks for watching.